Hello and welcome to my first video. Today's inspiration is Bratz. I do like the color scheme that Jade had when I was growing up. I remember seeing green on her. So this was the inspiration for today. This is definitely the most extra eye look that I've ever done, but I love how it turned out. Today's look is going to start off with primer. This is the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Original. So once I've deposited the primer onto my fingertips, I'm going to go ahead and rub them together to warm this up. You can go just straight onto your eye. It's still going to get warmed up as you apply it, but for me, this is what helps me get like the perfect base. So just go ahead and apply it anywhere that I want my eyeshadow or any eye products to go today. You can tap, you can swipe lightly. I kind of do both, and then I tap all the way out because we're going to do a very dramatic, smoky wing type of look today. I'm also going to show you the unpretty reality of having these super long nails. I literally load my knuckle up to get that inner corner. This is a tip just for the girlies or anybody with long nails. I know it's not super aesthetic, and I usually leave it out of my other videos, but I feel like being very honest today. And once I've applied the primer on both eyes, I'm going to continue to look down. If I'm looking straight up at you guys, I'm going to crease, and it's not going to be like an easily fixable issue. So I just stay looking down until it's fairly dried out. Today's Bratz look, I'm going to do a really neutral smoky base. This is my Tartelette palette. I'm going to dip into this shade first, the shade Super Mom. And again, I'm still looking down. If I need to like be looking up for the camera, I actually tilt my head back to ensure that I don't get those creases. I have pretty hooded eyes, and I know that that's a problem for me. That's something that I've had to learn on my makeup journey. So hopefully that's a helpful tip for any of you out there, maybe new to makeup or just starting to learn about what hooded eyes mean. I'm going to get a little bit closer so you can see. So these creases right here, that's what I'm talking about. The primer will get in them, and you cannot blend it out after it's like dried down. You can try, but it's just going to be so much harder. So this is something I do in a preventative way rather than having to deal with that issue later. The first shade that I put down is typically the lightest, and I do bring it all the way up into my socket here. And once I have that base there, I go in with a crease brush or a little bit of a fluffier brush and kind of just smooth that edge out, but I still want to keep that lighter pigment in that place. Now it's time to kind of set the stage for our makeup. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use tape. You can use makeup tape. This is literally just what I have on hand, and it's really cost effective for me. And I decide the shape of my eye makeup by how I angle my tape. So you can angle it up higher if you want a bigger cut. For me, I want it to go all the way out. Like I'm going for full drama today, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off, but I'm actually going to have to do it off camera because I can't see through my mirror. I usually go a little bit outside of my eye because I have hooded eyes. So if I go right where the edge of my eye is, the shape's not going to look right. So I know from my eye shape I need to go out a little bit farther, and I want to make sure that it's going up but not straight up. I want it angled. Okay, so now that I have the tape on, I'm going to dip into a slightly darker shade, but still very lightly, and I'm just going to barely put it on there, enough so that I'll be able to see it, and then I'm going to measure these wings once I take the tape off. Okay, so now it's time to remove them and check. And if they're not even, now is my time to adjust them. It's easiest to do this now. Okay, so comparing them. So this one needs to go down a little bit farther at the tail. This one is perfect, so I'm just going to put a new piece of tape right over where I had that one. And this one I'm going to adjust and put that tape down. Okay, so this is pretty good. It still might be a little bit uneven. That's okay, I don't really mind. This is the Crease Blender brush from Jessup Beauty. I'm going to dip into this shade Wanderer. I'm going to tap off the excess, and I'm going to start packing on the pigment. I'm going to be connecting it to that first shade that we put down, but I don't want to deposit too much pigment right away. I want to slowly build up to make sure I get that smoky effect that I'm going for today. We are going to incorporate green into this look quite a bit later, so I want a really neutral base. That way that can be our highlight. And as you can see, I'm going in a patting motion to apply more shadow. I find for my eyes with any type of primer, if I start swirling in immediately, I don't get the softest blend that I want, and I feel like it does kind of look patchy as the day wears on. So this is just my preferred method. Now I'm bringing it pretty much all the way out. Like I said, we're going for a full dramatic look. Now I'm going to start building in and bringing this pigment in up a bit more. I'm kind of making this shape. I'm making a more of a round shape, trying to define my eye a bit. Because I have hooded eyes, the main point that I don't touch is this with any like darker shade. As soon as I get lower to my crease, where I feel like I lose any definition in any shape. Again, I always try to keep it out and above. I never go just straight down. Okay, now I'm going to take the same brush and I'm going to dip into the gray shade Power Player, and I'm going to keep it a bit lower. Again, we're going for a smoky look today, so I think gray would be great to incorporate. It's also a really pretty color, and I think a lot of people shy away from this color, but I have green eyes and I feel like this really accentuates them. Always make sure you're tapping off excess too. This is something that I've been doing for years and I've noticed such a big difference. So you minimize fallout and helps things blend better. Okay, now I'm going to switch to my detail crease blender. I got this in a kit from Amazon for about $20. It's still a fluffy crease brush, but it's more densely packed and the bristles are shorter, so it's going to help me get more definition. And I'm still keeping with that gray shade. Again, really blending that out and really building it up. I'm keeping it close to the lash line. I'm not putting it right on my crease. Kind of keeping it in like a swooping shape. Because again, as soon as I start putting those like super heavy colors on top, it drags my eyes down. Now that that's about done, I'm going to take this small fluffy crease brush. And I'm going to mix the gray and the black. I'm going to pack on more gray. Like 2 dips for gray, 1 for black, ending on gray. Tap that excess off. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it on camera, but quite a bit comes off. And I'm going to keep this very defined. I want to do just the bottom part. I am swiping because I have enough pigment built up. When you're just putting eyeshadow onto primer, I recommend tapping, but you can start swiping and doing other things once you have enough pigment on. Will allow us to gradually build color rather than getting like a super smoked look and then having to blend it back out. And I'm just bringing through my lash line to make sure the look is cohesive. So you can see the difference that the black has made. Hopefully you can see it on camera. The black is here. There's no black here yet. I think it looks really pretty with it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in with that detail crease blender brush. Still mixing the gray and black. And I'm going to bring it up just a little bit further. And if you put too much black somewhere, just go back over it with gray. It'll help. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off. Ooh, it's my favorite part. This actually is exactly what I was going for, so I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm going to go in with concealer. Use the L'Oreal True Match. I recently got into like using 2 concealer shades, using one with a little bit more of a warm undertone first. Really prominent dark circles, as you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and paint this on. I'm going to let it sit for about 30 seconds and then I'll be back to blend. That's had some time to set. I'm going to go in with a little beauty blender and start blending it out. This gives me a better coverage. That's something that I personally need. I've been working in 2 layers, so I put that shade down first, and then I'll go in with something that's a bit more brightening and more of a cool tone. And I do bring this pretty much all the way up and in on my eyes. You can see I'm going to bring it up into that little circle that I put. So that was shade N2. Now I'm going to go in with C2, and I'm going to place it just in the inner corner, and I'm also going to give that a second to set because I want that coverage. Now that I have my blush on, I'm going to be looking up the rest of the time to blend this. This is what I do to ensure I get the least amount of creasing underneath my eye. This again is a somewhat unaesthetic point of view, but this is how I best do my makeup. So I'm blending, and I always blend inwards. That for me helps my creases a lot. And I have to make weird faces, I have to like shift my mouth around, what have you. Like I said, it's not aesthetic, but oh my gosh, this works so good. So I'm going to remain looking up. If I need to look down, I know it looks crazy, but like I'll just move my head down, grab my setting powder. I have it in the lid here. I'm going to dip it in and it'll look like that once it's dipped in. What I do is I put it on the back of my hand to make sure it's even. And again, keeping my eyes up, I'm going to go outwards and in. So pushing that product into my skin. Make sure you have no creases before you set your under eye. If you do have creases, you're just setting that crease and then you're not going to be able to blend it out later. I know people say that you can and this and that. For me personally, I feel like once that's there, you're done. Okay, now this is my trick. Immediately after doing that, I'm going to grab the Luxe Soft Definer from Just Up Beauty. Going to tap it in my setting powder. Tap most of the excess off, still leaving some, and I do like a mini bake, and I only go outwards in, and I make sure that there's a little extra product there. And it's important to do this right away. Like I said, this will be the difference maker. For me, this has really transformed my under eyes because I used to get the worst creasing. Once that powder has had time to set, I give it about 2 minutes. You can leave it on for longer. I will take the e.l.f. blush brush. This is the relative shape of it. I just want something that's like light and fluffy. And again, that same type of motion going inwards, swiping it up off of your nose. Okay, so I'm actually going to do glitter next. I have a green shift glitter that I want to use for this look that I think will be perfect. I always start with the NYX glitter glue. This has been the best one that I've tried. It's also super affordable. So I put a lump about that big on my hand. And I'm just going to dip in with this brush. This is just a flat brush. I'm going to lean my head back and I'm just going to pat it on. I want to make sure that I have it everywhere that I'm expecting my glitter to go. So I'm going to go all the way up, but I'm also going to go into this inner corner again. I love placing my glitter there. It gives me such a big eye effect. It shouldn't disrupt your eyeshadow too much. Bring all the way up. And I go pretty much right underneath my brow bone. And I go about halfway out on my eye. One thing I recommend before glitter is actually putting a little bit of powder underneath. I'm going to go back in with what we had earlier, just putting it on a brush. And pretty much just setting it underneath my eye. That way we can just brush off any excess glitter. I'm going to go into my glitter. This is Maui from Jellywing Cosmetics. Try not to spill it on camera. If you can see that green shift, so stunning. I really wish that this glitter had better packaging. I really don't like these open jars. It's just an accident waiting to happen, and I've already spilled one of them too. I'm now taking a Luxe Smoky Shadow brush. I'm dipping in the glitter, whatever's on the lid, and I'm going to tilt my head back and just start placing it. That's very cute. Okay, so as you can see, I like bringing the glitter all the way up and into that corner. Okay, and then I would just check that they're like relatively even, that you're happy with it. And now we have all of this fallout, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to swipe it away. Because we put that powder here earlier, it should go pretty easily. So I'm swiping up and inwards off my nose. You may get a couple pieces just left over. Nothing to really worry about. Unless you're like a perfectionist, you can take it off with a little bit of tape. But I typically don't mind as long as I don't have a ton underneath my eyes. Okay. And I would also lean down and bring that brush up against your lashes because I usually have some glitter on my lashes as well. Quickly for the under eye, grab the Smoky Shader from Just Up Beauty. I'm going to dip in that light brown shade we use, Wanderer. Start packing it all underneath. And I'm going about 3/4 of the way in. I'm leaving this open because I'm going to put green water liner there. Now I'm going to go in with this gray shade, Power Player. Same brush, same type of motion. I'm going to go a little bit closer to the lash line. You can tell the difference. It definitely brings dimension. And again, I want to emphasize this really smoky look. And I always start at the outside and I always bring it inwards. When you start inwards and bring it out, it's a lot harder to blend. And now I'm going to mix this gray and black shade and I'm going to look up and get it just right underneath my lash line. When I apply on the brush, I'm tapping on the very tip. That way I get it just on my lash line. Now that I've applied the mixed shade, I'm just tapping back in with just black, and I'm going to go again right on the lashes, but this time I'm going to pat. I want that black quite a bit thicker, and then we'll blend it out a little. Now I'm going to follow up with a little bit of a fluffier brush, dip it into a little bit of a dark brown. So I'm going to take Dreamer, and I'm going to go right underneath everything I've just done. Again, I just want to smoke it out, but I do feel like the gray is kind of disappearing, so going with a little bit of a dark brown. So if you can see the difference that's made, I'm definitely smoking it out underneath. For me personally, I do want a little bit more black. I'm going to dip into the black shade, Fashionista, with my angled brow concealer brush from Jessup Beauty. I feel like this one's the perfect width for me to get what I want. And then I wipe off all of the pigment, and then I'll go in and kind of blend that out, bring it inward slightly more, but no new pigments going on this brush. I've deposited everything that I want, and I'm pretty happy with that. I've done my mascara top and bottom off of camera. I'm going to dip in this top shade here. This is a water activated liner palette. I got it from Hex Baby Beauty. I'm going to use my Vertex Beauty Fine Tip Liner. All I do is dip it in water. Just start building that shade up on the brush. Once I have enough pigment on the brush, all I'm going to do is just the inner corner here. Okay, and I just lay that color on. So I'll get a little bit closer. And that's really all I want to do. I just want like a little splash of green right underneath because it's a very smoky look, and then we're going to have green gems on top. So there's two things I think you absolutely need for this. So the gems that I've applied are actually nail gems. So they come with this in the kit, the little wax pencil. I would absolutely recommend this if you have it. If not, you can use tweezers. Use this. This is the Duo Lash Adhesive. This is the one with the brush applicator. I love this one. It's also latex free. I have some gems and things that I do want to try out that are green. So I have green rhinestones, and then I use a little flowers on my nails, and I happen to have a green one, so that's absolutely going on the lids today. And then I might use these. They're a bit of a different shape, so I don't always know what to do with them, but I'm at least going to get some rhinestones and flowers in today. I'm going to dip in this clear lash glue. Keep it pretty thin because we're going to go in with the small rhinestones first. I'm going to place my first dot. Okay, trying to match it to the other side. And if you mess anything up right now, you can literally just dab it off. It does not matter. Okay, I'm doing those first 3 dots. I already have my gems laid on the counter. I'm just going to pick them up. So I have the first one here. You can see it's right on the end. And I wait for the glue to be just a little bit tacky. That way they pick up the gem right away, and you can push it down to secure it. And again, this is just as easy as placing them on. So I have those first 3 on. Super cute. I'm going to mark the placement for the first flower. It's going to be right here, and I'm going to put more glue than I did for the other ones just because it's a heavier gem. Because it has more weight to it, I need it to be tacky right away, so it just sucks up. If you put it on when the glue is really fresh, it might take a little bit, it might slide around. Once it's tacky, you can just stick it right on and it's not going to move. I'm going to make the dot for the green one, and then I'm going to make the dot for the other big green gem. Okay, so it's starting to dry. It's getting a little bit clear. Going to grab my flower and make sure the petal is up in the direction that I want. Time for the green gem. Looking good. And now I'm going to place the big green gem. Going to make placement for that second flower. That little gem here. And 2 little green. Okay, so here is that little green piece. It's very reflective, very pretty. And it's time for the last flower. Okay, that's it. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I'm going to put on lashes and I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. This is the final result. I put on lashes. These are the Ardell 858. To this date, this is the most extra eye look I've ever done. I've never put this many gems, like been this extra. And actually, I love it. This is really awakening something in me. I hope that you guys are liking it too. So again, the theme was green. The theme was Bratz. Jade was the one that I liked a lot growing up. I like that green color scheme. That's what I went for today. I think it's complemented perfectly by the smoky base that we put on. Get a little bit closer so we can see the final look. I'm obsessed. I love it. I now want to do it in like every single color. I love the little flowers. Those are actually my favorite part. I kind of wish I put more. But again, I love it. And thank you so much for following along. I'm not sure how many people will make it to the end of this video. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the chat below. If you guys have any look requests, leave them in the chat below. If you liked this look, press the like and subscribe button. That would help me a lot and I would really appreciate it.